In working out how to get published, it's important to understand the changing face of publishing technology. Sadly, a smaller proportion of people are reading in the West than they did years ago. And the rise of digital technologies and the increasing pace of our commercially driven world is partly to blame for this. And it is significant that Google will give priority to information delivered in the form of film over that given by print. And I can't help but be just a bit sad about this. I mean, our minds love painting pictures from the clues that words give, and the result is invariably much better than any filmmaker can possibly produce. Getting published. I mean, if writing was not hard enough, then getting published is even harder, and most authors find it a cruel, time-consuming and frustrating process. The sad fact is that when it comes to publishing, it's very much a case of who you know in the business who will give you a personal recommendation. And in Australia, if you don't live in Melbourne or Sydney, you will find it particularly tough, as you will be more disconnected from the publishing world. I mean, there are, for example, no literary agents in South Australia. So simply fulfilling a publisher's submission guidelines, on the rare occasions that they'll even let you submit directly to them, is not usually enough. Publishers, sadly, generally treat new writers very badly. Publishers demand writers adhere strictly to their publishing guidelines, but when they get an unsolicited manuscript, they usually just put it on the slush pile. A junior editor may skim through the pile every 4 months or so, but most are put in the bin barely read. And the cruel thing is that publishers insist that you send your manuscript to no other publisher whilst they are examining your manuscript. But then they let it sit on the slush pile for up to 6 months until they are thrown out and you get a computer-generated rejection letter. So it's important that you do something that will get you noticed. However, this still means that you've got to stay within the submission guidelines set by the publisher or the literary agent. I mean, they will be looking for a reason not to publish you. So this means that your manuscript needs to be highly polished. Much of the editing that was once done by publishers is now required to be done by you, the author. Many publishers and literary agents now insist that your manuscript be professionally edited and reviewed before they will even consider it. And this can result in significant cost to writers who, by all laws of probability, won't get their work published anyway. Needless to say, the book proposal that you submit to a publisher is your most important advert. So how you write it should tell them how well you write. Therefore, write it well. It should not only be well written, but it should also be compelling and memorable. One of the reasons it's so tough getting the attention of publishers is that the publishing world is in turmoil at the moment. The industry is being mugged by self-publishing technology, e-books, and a declining reading public. It is important, therefore, to do what you can to maximize the market that you write for. And as you ponder this, it might just be worth remembering that 70% of novels are read by women. Also understand that the West is increasingly becoming time-pressured. People simply have less time to read than they used to have. And this means that there needs to be a very good reason for a novel to go much beyond 90,000 words. And novellas of 40,000 words are becoming increasingly popular. There is, of course, the option to self-publish. Understand, however, that if you do, people will know that your book has not gone through the vigorous vetting program given by professional publishers, and there will be greater doubts as to its quality. Self-publishing works well when you have a great network of contacts in the virtual world, e.g. on Facebook, and also good traffic on your website, probably because you are already well known for other reasons. If you are wishing to self-publish and to produce hard copy books to sell, then you will be readily catered for by the various print-on-demand printers. The quality of books that are now produced by some of these companies is almost as good as a professional publisher. However, you still should insist on seeing a proof copy before you commit to a big order. Some print-on-demand companies pretend to be publishers, so do be careful. Don't get caught. Many promise to publish your books and sell them to the trade at book fairs, but the reality is they rarely market any. They rely on authors being content with a few hundred books that they sell to their friends and family. And this is called vanity publishing in the trade, and it's inherently exploitative. So as a general rule, if a publisher asks you for money to help them publish your book, then they are not a true publisher. Similarly, there is a burgeoning industry centered on teaching people to write or assessing manuscripts. Why? Because unlike writing, there's guaranteed money in it, so do be careful. There's a huge industry geared to exploit people's dreams and vanities. So get to know the website Writers Beware. It's pretty good at identifying the most notorious sharks. But watch out though, because some of the worst exploiters change the name of their company regularly in order to keep ahead of negative reports. As I've said, there's a huge industry out there that is parasitic on people's wish to write a book, so do navigate your way through it with care. So let me say again, getting published is the hardest part for most writers, and it's particularly hard for new writers. It's a sad fact that it is increasingly hard for authors to even reach a publisher. Publishers protect themselves from writers by only accepting manuscripts from literary agents. And now literary agents are protecting themselves from writers by only accepting manuscripts that have been reviewed and edited by a literary editor. So today's writer has huge hurdles to clear and costs to bear before their work can even be seen by a publisher. And I can't help but think that publishers are cutting their own throat by doing this and starving themselves of new literary blood by divorcing themselves so much from new potential talent. Certainly, it is very difficult for a first-time writer to be taken seriously, and sometimes not even quality will get a publisher's attention. However, having said that, lack of quality will definitely not get you published. Many in the industry are saying that you will have to write better today than the best-selling authors did 20 years ago if you want to get published. You see, publishers generally reward the already successful. And it's a sad fact that notoriety will usually trump talent. The ghost-written memoirs of a famous footballer will be published ahead of any talented new writer. And whilst publishers may say that they are open to new talent, this is rarely so in practice. They are open to new talent provided that talent is already famous or well connected enough to guarantee sales. The recommendation from a publisher's sales team will generally override that from their literary review team. So what's the answer? Well, the first is tenacity. Tenacity is the key. Never give up. Second, do whatever is necessary to get personal connections and recommendations. And thirdly, make it clear that you can help sales of your book significantly through your connections on Facebook or through your website. Some publishers will now even require you to buy a goodly quantity of books so that you can sell them to your friends and family. And quite when a solitary person who writes has got time to do this is a mystery to me, unless they are a professional public speaker. Do understand the deeply personal nature of writing. Writing is a very personal activity, and what other people feel about your novel will matter to you a great deal. Understand now that not everyone will be kind, so do be ready for people to be careless, dismissive, or even rude about your baby. Resist the urge to do them physical harm. If they had lived as intimately with your baby as you have over the months, then they probably would be kinder, but they haven't, so do understand. Learn from good criticism, but don't give unjust criticism the power to derail your ambitions. Don't let people's harshness make you so reticent to expose your heart through your book that you fail to make it available for editing, review, and publishing. You have written to move the hearts of others. Therefore, get it out there. Self-care and the care of others. Writing, as we have said, is a very solitary occupation. It requires long periods of undisturbed time. Writing is a totally absorbing and a demanding mistress. She tends to tag along even when you're doing other things in your life. It's all consuming. You will find yourself ruminating in the shower. You'll be tempted to talk about plot ideas with your spouse while you're walking the dog. So do have mercy on them and try not to afflict them too much. Keep your lifestyle balanced and healthy. By all means, protect your writing time, but also factor in time for those that you love. Never stop learning and getting better. Always keep a notepad with you for ideas, phrases and expressions and descriptions you come across in books or see around you. Learn to notice things and describe them, e.g. the behaviour of a dog on a beach or the sound of the wind through the leaves of a tree. Always jot things down and add them to your literary file. Report what you observe back to your readers so that they smile with fondness as they look over your shoulder and say, "Yeah, that's right, you've put it well." The best of writing will stay with people for life. Some may even change people's life. Writing lets you whisper the possibility of new things directly into people's hearts, and as such, it is a very special privilege to be a writer. So do carry that responsibility well. If you would like to look at a novel and see how I've tried to put all these factors into place, then have a look at my first novel, The Celtic Stone. At the very least, you should enjoy a rattling good yarn. I wish you well in your writing.